PlayStation is releasing a new version of the PS5. There is a small but good update coming to the Xbox UI, and we got some more information as to what we can expect from Starfield and the story and just the overall scope of the game. All right, guys, before we get into this, I have 4 months to hit my goal of 10,000 subscribers. I see a lot of you are new to this channel. If you are, please consider hitting that subscribe button if you enjoy this video. So it's been a tumultuous week or so for the PS5, all really kicking off with the raise in prices that Sony announced in various parts of the world, with the exception of the United States. Where I live here in Canada, the disc version is now $649.99 and the digital version is $519.99. The funny thing about the disc version of the PS5, even before those price raises, it was still more expensive than the Xbox Series X. It was $629 or $630, and that to me was crazy for some reason that it was more expensive, and now it's even more expensive with that $50 difference between the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5. Now, on top of that, it looks like they've secretly released a brand new version of the PlayStation 5, particularly in Australia, with the CFI 1200 model. And this model is a lighter model than the one that is currently out there right now. So it says here, Press Start reports that the new CFI 1200 series models of the PS5 weigh less than the launch consoles, and the disc version is now weighing as much as the previous digital version at 3.9 kilograms, and the digital version, the new CFI 1202B, is 4 kilograms less than its previous version. So we go here and you can see the standard versions in terms of how much they weigh, and then you can see here the digital versions in terms of how much they weigh, in terms of the different models. So it started at 4.5 kilograms for the disc version. It is now down to 3.9, and the digital version started at 3.9 kilograms and is now down to 3.4. And you may be wondering, why are there 3 different models? And that is because there is the launch one, and then if you remember back in 2021, they released another secret launch of a new version of the PlayStation 5 where they had made some internal changes. You had the video of Austin Evans coming out and showing why the console was in fact lighter, and it was because they reduced the size of the heatsink. And with his quick testing that he showed off, the heat within the PS5 was higher with that reduction and with the smaller heatsink within the console. And all this comes back to PlayStation really trying to optimize the amount of money that they're going to be able to make off of this console by changing the materials within it. If they're able to get cheaper parts and then still sell it for the same price, or now with the raised prices, they are going to do that. They are going to do what they can in order to offset what has been happening with the supply chain and not being able to meet the demand. In fact, the CFO, Hiroki Totoki, specifically spoke on this back in April of 2021. He was asked specifically about the shortage of semiconductors, which is affecting obviously all consumer electronics. And he suggests that Sony had means to be able to cope with this, saying, for example, we could find maybe a secondary resource, or by changing the design, we could cope. In the electronic products and solutions business, we took a flexibility maneuver, and in fiscal year 2021, we liked the flexibility adapt to the situation. And he's specifically talking about finding ways to be able to release these new versions of the PS5 to be able to adapt to the shortages of certain parts and certain materials to be able to make this console. Now, this difference in weight doesn't make a big difference. Probably not. I mean, you're probably not really going to be able to feel it. What is a bigger thing that the PlayStation 5 needs to change is the actual size of the console. If they're able to get smaller parts within this thing, they should be redoing the shell. They should be making a more compact version of the PS5, because as it stands right now, it's still a beast of a console. It is still huge, and it's a pretty ugly console aesthetically, in my opinion. It just takes up so much space and doesn't really fit in too many entertainment systems. I am not a fan of the design of this console, and you can really see that difference in terms of the build quality of the PS5 versus the Xbox Series X, what they were able to do with getting more power in a smaller console, and it just fits and looks way better in an entertainment system, in my personal opinion. I'm sure there are people out there that love the design of the PS5 and like it more than the Series X. But this is another thing. They're reducing the cost of their materials. They're secretly releasing a lighter version of this console, but at the same time, because this is releasing in Australia where they raise the prices, they are selling the console for more money, which doesn't make any sense. They are making a profit off of these consoles, but they are doing what they have to do, knowing that people are going to go out and buy them because the demand is so high, and they're going to be profiting even more with those raised prices. All right, jumping over here to Starfield, we got some more information from the composer of the game, from how big the game is going to be, to more insight as to what we should expect from the overall concept of the game. Now, this is via Ion Zur, who is the composer of Starfield, and he has revealed that the game is at least twice the size of the biggest game that Bethesda Game Studios has ever made. This isn't surprising. When they showed off Starfield and they announced that there were going to be 1,000 planets that are going to be all spread across the galaxy, it was a point of controversy for a lot of people. Some people were excited about it, and some people thought it was going to take away from the depth of the game in terms of having just a ton of procedurally generated planets. I was on the side that I think it's a great thing. I think you're going to have more to explore. People who want to explore these planets are going to be able to do that. You're going to have insane mods on some of these planets, and it isn't going to be forced. And there's still going to be those really in-depth, well-written, well-developed planets that are a part of, like, I guess, the main story of the game that are going to be within Starfield. So I thought it was fine, but other people had their reservations for it. Now, he also talks about the actual story and what we can expect from this. He says here that Starfield is a deep and philosophical game that will consume a lot of your existence. Well, he doesn't think it will make you a changed person. He believes that playing through its story will give you a deeper perspective to your whole being. And that has me very excited, because from what we are understanding with Starfield right now is the story itself is kind of what you make of it. You're the main character. It's your RPG. You're going through the different planets and making it your game. And I love that. I mean, that's what Bethesda is all about. And I love that we're going to get that here in Starfield. I love games that make you think. They don't try to push any sort of thought onto you. They give you concepts, they give you philosophies, and then it's up to you to decide how you want to take these philosophies, what you think about them, and then make your decisions throughout the game. And that's exactly what it sounds like Starfield is going to be about. He also talks about the fact that it isn't just another shooter, and it isn't just another RPG, but it has very courageous steps into the realm that is more philosophical, but the actual gameplay and the graphics themselves are incredible. From what we saw from that original gameplay trailer, yeah, there was stuttering. There was some stuff there that needs to be polished and fixed, and I'm guessing that's why they delayed the game, but I thought it looked pretty good, and the gameplay itself looked decent. I mean, yeah, there were things like when the enemies were getting shot in the very first thing where they didn't even react. I'm hoping that they do fix that before the official release, but from what I saw, I was very excited to actually play Starfield. Finally, he says it's all about the story and your ability to write your own story within the framework of its narrative. It's also about your ability to ask questions, seek relevant answers, and perhaps be able to reach them. Again, just a concept that has me extremely excited for Starfield. Now, the question is this game going to be releasing in early 2023, or is it going to be continuously pushed out to the end of 2023? If they need the entire, I guess, year since that initial release date that got delayed, I would say go for it. I want this game to come out. It needs to be polished. It is a game that I've talked about multiple times as being a once in a generation game, a cultural game that people are going to be talking about for 10 plus years. And they have that chance for it to be a Skyrim, for it to be a Witcher 3, where it becomes its own kind of thing above all other games. And they need to nail it, because this is their chance to do it with Starfield, a new IP from Bethesda. If they deliver, they're going to be able to essentially do what they did with Skyrim once again, which they haven't really done to Skyrim. I mean, Fallout is fun. People enjoy Fallout, but it just hasn't reached that level of Skyrim. And I think Starfield is their next chance. And that's why in the game, when it comes out, it has to be, I would say, almost perfect. There can be small bugs, there can be things like that. It definitely can't be in the same realm as like a Fallout 76, where that was just an absolute disaster. All right, jumping over here to just a quick update to the Xbox UI. It's a small update, but I think it is a good update and something that has been needed. And it has to do with the games library. Now, this is a tweet from Tom Warren. He says here, Microsoft is testing a new Xbox dashboard UI for the full library interface. The library section now has a tabbed interface for different groups of games and apps. And you can see it here at the top. You have all games, owned games, Xbox Game Pass, games with gold, EA Play, and owned apps. Very sleek looking, much easier to navigate to where your games are coming from. I mean, right now you look at the UI for the games, it's not terrible. There's like a drop down list. They also still have the tiles with all of the different signifying tags on there, like Game Pass, Cloud, Xbox Series X and S optimized. That stuff's great, but I did find it was somewhat confusing at times to be able to find where your games were coming from. And I think this up here is going to make a big difference. And obviously, once they add more features to Xbox, for example, Ubisoft Plus is supposed to be coming over, whether that's within Game Pass or it's a feature on its own, they're probably going to add that to the bar itself, and it'll be very easy to navigate to where you want to go. What I do like as well here is they do have that games with gold section, which separates those games out from everything else. And yes, I know people complain about games with gold every single month, but hey, they're free games and people still play them. And that's why they are continuously still releasing them to add a little bit more value to your subscription service. So nice change to the UI, should be rolling out, I'm assuming sometime soon, to everybody. And from the way this looks, I'm going to be happy with the change, and I'm guessing people will find it much easier to find the games that they are looking for. But that's it for me, guys. Let me know your thoughts on PlayStation releasing a lighter version of the PS5. What do you think about the update to that Xbox UI games library section? And what are your thoughts on that more information we got about Starfield? If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. If you're new here and you liked what you saw, consider hitting that subscribe button. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for your support, and I'll catch you in the next video.
Bye.